Anthony Fantano is in deep trouble with the Swifties, and that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video because it is getting wild. So, in case you didn't already know, there has been new music review drama involving none other than Taylor Swift and very popular YouTuber Anthony Fantano from the quote Needle Drop. If you're a fan of Taylor or you just love good critique, be sure to stick around for this video. So, for those who don't know Anthony Fantano, known as the Needle Drop, he is one of the most influential music reviewers on YouTube with over 2.8 million subscribers, and he's known for his honest and sometimes brutal reviews. Fantano recently reviewed Taylor Swift's latest album, The Tortured Poets Department, and spoiler alert, he did not even give a rating for this album, and he described the album as quote sloppy and criticized it very heavily. And he stated that Taylor, while usually drawing inspiration from personal experiences, overdid it this time. And he mentioned that her attempts to channel her emotions felt more like spilling the tea rather than crafting well thought out songs. Fantano also pointed out that specific tracks like Florida and Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, he accused Taylor of ripping off Lana Del Rey both lyrically and melodically. He also mocked her for daring the contemporaries to come for my job, attributing to the lack of fresh ideas, and he ultimately felt that the album was uncharacteristically sloppy for Taylor, describing it as unedited and unchallenged. So, in response to this, the Swifties saw this and they were like, oh, Anthony, we see your video, but we're not fucking happy about it. So what they said was, Taylor's fans had mixed reactions. Some admire the raw and unfiltered nature of the album, while other fans agree with Fantano's harsh critiques. Interestingly, this isn't the first time that Fantano has refused to rate an album, and he's previously declined to review Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign's collaborative project, calling it unviewable trash. So off the back of this, like I say, Swiftie fans, they weren't happy. They weren't happy at all. And they went as far as to start calling Anthony Fantano sexist, started stating that he just absolutely hates women, he always trashes on women albums, and it is, well, it's just absolutely crazy. So over on his other YouTube channel called Fantano, with 1.8 million subscribers, he released a follow-up video titled I'm Sexist, in which he responded to the criticism that he was receiving from the Swifties, and this is what he had to say back to them.
Hey everyone, great news! I've just heard the best news. I just went on twitter.net and it turns out, according to many a music fan over there, I am sexiest. I'm over here, I'm not even trying. I had no idea I was being such a sexy review boy. Sexiest reviewer without even going for it is just like such an incredible accolade that I just didn't really see coming. Hello? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. They're saying sexist. Sexist. Not. Are you sure? Okay. Well, turns out I'm not the sexiest reviewer. Turns out I'm a sexist reviewer. Yes, online the discourse is discoursing once again, taking shape in very interesting ways around the reviews. Most recently when it's come to takes that I've had around a couple of recent albums this year. One, the new Taylor Swift LP, The Tortured Poets Department, and two,
something that I did forget to mention, obviously most people will probably know the Tortured Poets Department for that jab that she took at Kim Kardashian. I think it was Thanks Amy was what it was called, and then like in capitals it was like K-I-M was spelled out, and then there were jabs at like Kim and Northwest. It was pretty wild, I can't lie, it was pretty savage.
Recent Gracie Abrams album, The Secret of Us. Someone who, due to her songwriting style and the Taylor Swift feature packed into that record, I referred to as kind of Taylor Swift's baby creatively, as again her songs are very derivative of Miss Swift's tunes. Her vocals also pretty much a Lorde ripoff. Once again, haven't really heard somebody out there in the mainstream that is this blatant of a copycat since Greta Van Fleet. Like, her musical style and vocal style is very provably derivative, and seems to not even care that that's the case.
So if you haven't watched any of Anthony's stuff before, straight off the bat you can see the kind of guy that he is just from that little segment alone. He is harsh, he is cutthroat, and he will tear your album to shreds if he does not like it. Alright, obviously music is subjective, but he does kind of review it from a critique point of view as opposed to a fan point of view. He doesn't do it because he doesn't like the music, because obviously his tastes vary, and that's not fair, and it will be biased towards particular music types. But he does do it from a musical, lyrical point of view, and that's why everybody loves him.
Especially given,
apart from the Swifties,
that the production on her latest record is packed with producers and collaborators that Taylor Swift is known for working with. Which, I mean, that's just proof of how strong the Taylor Swift economy is right now. She can basically do a Playboy Cardi style move and pick out some other artists who are essentially just ripping him off completely and bringing nothing interesting to the table in the process. And just by virtue of that endorsement, those artists kind of like continually blow up. And I mean, this new record of Gracie's is her most commercially successful yet, so there's not really any arguing against the Taylor Swift bump here. But yes, my criticisms of this record and its very plain-faced mediocrity have been met, of course, with calls of sexism. Yeah.
Let's have a look at some of these tweets. So this is the most misogynistic guy I've ever seen, who calls himself a music critique. Don't even bother to go and watch it. He just did Taylor's new album, Hate Rant 2.0. I hate this misogynist, disgusting man. I remember everyone was praising Fiona's Apple's album. He was given his misogynistic opinions, trying to drag her for no reason. I hate him so much. He's actually so awful. I can't believe people actually take his word as gospel. Him calling TTPD performative victimhood should have been the tip-off for them, but no.
Yes, the reason I don't like this very underwhelming, boring, average, and very dime-a-dozen album is because I just inherently have something against women. And look, let me sidebar here and explicitly say the point of this video isn't to laugh off the idea of sexism, especially when it comes to the music industry where there is still provably a lot of sexism about. I don't think there would be as many rap cells out there freaking out and getting all up in arms over the fact that I enjoy a lot of Sexy Red's music, if not for sexism, because a lot of those same guys listen to very hedonistic, rudimentary, filthy, raunchy rap music and bangers made by dudes, and they're completely happy with it, totally fine with it. But when Sexy Red or an artist does it that isn't meant to appeal to them as a young male demographic, then all of a sudden it's wrong, it's horrible, it's the worst thing in the world, what are you doing, how could you possibly enjoy this? So yes, of course sexism is an issue in the music industry, but I would like to take a moment here to talk about the ways in which Taylor Swift's fan base and many fan bases that are adjacent to that fan base kind of weaponize this claim in order to sort of just cast off criticism of Taylor Swift and anything she does. Because if there's any sexism going on here, it's actually being engaged in by the Taylor Swift fan base that's making these claims.
Now, this is obviously something that has been running through the mill over the past couple of weeks, is Taylor Swift allegedly weaponizing her fan base against up-and-coming artists to kind of like bomb them in the charts if she's got an album in the charts, so her numbers do far better, and then other people kind of like don't perform because she wants to be untouchable, allegedly. And apparently that's what insiders from the music industry have said about Taylor. She is very egocentric when it comes to her music. Obviously, I mean, who isn't proud of their music? Of course, she deserves to be proud of her music, but at the same time, not at the expense of other artists. But that argument does swing in roundabouts because, of course, Sabrina Carpenter wouldn't be where she is today without Taylor Swift, and other now huge artists wouldn't be where they are without Taylor's help. So that argument does swing in roundabouts, but, you know, if she doesn't like you, she's gonna bomb you in the charts. Basically, that's what's being said.
Many of them seem broadly ignorant to the wider world of women artists out there in the music world, because they don't really dig deeper into the wealth of women artists out there making a variety of different kinds of music, and don't really seem to feel like they need to, because they're kind of listening to the ultimate woman, the alpha woman, and they sort of falsely use her as like a barometer for the well-being of all women, when in actuality that's insane. That's sort of like using the stock market as proof of like how well everybody in the country is doing financially. Just because you have one lady who is at a peak of her career commercially and financially and selling out tours and just getting tons of attention on her latest record and so on and so forth. Yeah, just because you have that, it doesn't mean that women in the music industry broadly are doing okay, nor does it mean that when you criticize Taylor Swift's music or the way she releases it and repeatedly shoves it down people's throats, that you're criticizing and attacking all women, especially considering many fans are kind of like pointing these issues out and how they're to the commercial detriment of Taylor's female contemporaries like Charli XCX and Billie Eilish. But yeah,
those are the people that, of course, I referenced to for like basically chart bombing. Like, if you've got an album in the charts at the same time as her, she's going to do all she can to try and shut you down.
At the end of the day, I kind of feel like
allegedly,
like this is a weird reflection of the ways in which capitalism can kind of co-opt social movements, especially when those social movements end up kind of being adopted by those who tend to be doing very well in the capitalist system, vis-a-vis, again, Taylor Swift with her supposed adherence to feminism, which, lo and behold, really only focuses at the end of the day on her personal success as a woman, not the success of women broadly as a demographic. At the end of the day, I guarantee that even if we talk about a bunch of artists who are like pretty accessible in terms of mainstream or somewhat mainstream popularity, that these rabid fans defending Taylor Swift against all the sexist criticism being thrown at her, they're not listening to Charli XCX. They're probably even barely listening to Dua Lipa. Very few of them likely care for the well-being and success of Billie Eilish, of bands like Boy Genius. If they've heard a Mitski song in the past 30 days, it was probably in passing on TikTok. In fact, when I see the discourse around many a Taylor Swift Twitter account on the internet, often these other artists are posed as like competition that Taylor has to thwart commercially, that like their popularity and success and well-being are like a threat to Taylor. And I mean, I know standum discourse on the internet can get kind of toxic sometimes, but come the fuck on. This is ridiculous, and it feels crazy for me to have to say this as a guy, but this is like not feminist in any way whatsoever. This is not how you do feminist advocacy, and honestly, you're watering the term down and diminishing its meaning by using it as a weapon to protect your favorite artists that you like, because you probably haven't dug that deeply into a whole lot of different artists and genres. Defend an artist that you like because they're being criticized for making mediocre music. Like, the non-sexist thing to do would be to hold that artist to a level of scrutiny that you would any other artist, specifically men, which, if we're going by that metric, I mean, honestly, I am pretty sexist, because the proof that is truly in the pudding, when we look at my scores, when we look at my most negative reviews, like most broadly, the fact of the matter is that I hate men. 6.1 to 6.5. The male end is slightly lower. No, it's true. I really do hate men. Men make up a majority of my not goods, of my zeros, of my 1 out of 10s too, of my piss take type reviews. And while yes, it is true, men have gotten a great deal of praise from me over the years as well, 10s out of 10s, so on and so forth, I really do have kind of a love-hate relationship with them. And a majority of the time when my ire is up, it's a guy getting it, which is why I want to end this video saying, again, I am sexist against men. So men, you better watch out. You're on thin ice, dudes. You guys are the best.
So, yeah, what do you guys think of this? In my opinion, does he deserve this level of hate? No. It's just because he obviously criticised the Taylor Swift, who has got such a huge and easy to weaponize fan base, and I'm sorry if you are a Taylor Swift fan, and you know I am lumping it as an umbrella. I'm sure not everyone is like that, but you know, 9 times out of 10 it is the case. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, be sure to jump scare the hell out of that like button if you have not already, and subscribe if you're new, and if you tickle my little bell so you get notified whenever we upload to the channel. Until next time, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'll speak to you later. Peace.